Hey, how you doing? Welcome to my familiar set. We're actually inside of Sammy's, and I'm in a back office. It's tucked away, and it's my new studio, so I love it. So anyhow, this is where we are, and we're going to talk about lenses. And you know, a lot of people call me, or they don't call me actually. A lot of people email me, and they ask me a lot of questions, which I love. I love to get questions from you guys. But one of the questions I get asked a lot is, what kind of lens should I use? People just ask me, you know, hey, what kind of lens should I get? And that's really up to what kind of photography you're going to be shooting. You know, there are a lot of lenses out there, and they're good for a lot of things. You know, you can break them down into different categories. You know what I'm saying? So one category you can break the lenses down to is, well, I guess it would be two categories, is zoom lenses and prime lenses. Now, zoom lenses are lenses that go from, you know, a certain, you know, focal length, which would be like this here. This is a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. This is a zoom lens. It goes from 70 millimeters and it zooms into 200 millimeters. The prime lens would be something like this little bad boy here. This is a 24 millimeter lens. It stays at 24 millimeters. It doesn't zoom. If you want to get closer to your image, you got to walk closer to it. If you want to get further away from it, you got to back up. So that's what a prime lens would be. A zoom lens, of course, the advantage is you can zoom. The disadvantage is that there's a lot of glass pieces in it. There's a lot of different lenses through here. The way a lens works is there's not just one lens. There's a bunch of different glass in there, and the more pieces you get, the more flare you're going to get, the less quality in your final image in the end. But you know, you get great glass and everything works out great. You know, this is a great lens. However many pieces are in it, it's fantastic. It works out great. The good thing about a prime lens is normally they don't have as many glass pieces in it. There's not as many pieces of glass in there. There's not. It's not as heavy. You know, your 24 millimeter, you're just going to be 24 millimeter. You don't have to worry about you know zooming in and zooming out and getting a wrong look. You always know what look you're going to get with your 24 millimeter. I like prime lenses. I think they're fantastic. Their quality is supposed to be better. You know, I haven't seen a great shift in quality from, you know, zoom to prime or whatever, but great lenses, fantastic stuff. So another category you can break them down into is by their focal length. You know, you have your 10 millimeter, which would be considered fisheye or super wide. You got your, you know, 24 millimeter would be considered your, you know, wide angle. 35 to 50 millimeters would be like a standard, you know, how your eye sees the world. And then you go like, you know, 100 millimeters to, you know, 300 to 500 millimeter, and those are all zoom lenses. That's how you zoom into things. You know, a 10 millimeter is considered a very wide angle lens. It would be considered a fisheye lens. You know, you can take pictures that have this look like you were a fish and you're looking at your squirrely little fish eyes. But the fisheye lens, you know, rounds things off. It's very distorted. It makes for an interesting look. You know, if you want that look, it's interesting. They're great for doing, you know, pictures to show volumetric space inside of a building or inside of, you know, a room, or showing how big something is. You know, it gives you a good perspective. It's a great lens for getting a strange look. You know, if you're doing like off the wall portraiture, you know, and you want some crazy weird stuff, they're great. The 24 millimeter gives you a nice wide angle lens without distorting things. Your edges don't get too distorted. It's good for all kinds of things, you know, group shots and things like that. You know, doing candid portraiture, like walking around with your camera at, you know, clubs or at an event. It's a great lens for me. It's wide enough that it gets things, but it's not so wide that it distorts everything. So, you know, if you just make sure to keep things in the center of your thing, you're going to get great shots. But fantastic lens is the 24 millimeter. If you're thinking of doing portraiture, a great lens for portraiture would be a 70 millimeter lens, you know, something like that on that focal length. You know, 70 to 100 to, you know, 150. You know, even above is fine, but you don't want to be too far away from your subject with a, you know, 800 millimeter lens and you're down the block taking a picture of them. You don't get that, you know, that personal feel. But if that's what you're looking for and you're looking to take pictures of people and they don't know you're there, but you know, if that's your creepy way of doing things, then, you know, go ahead and invest in that 800 millimeter. But you know, for doing sports and things like that, it would be awesome to have a nice focal length. You know, something that's going to get you, you know, 200 millimeter zoom, 400 millimeter zoom, whatever you can afford, however far you can afford to get close. It's better to do, you know, the closer shots in sports, or normally to me, as I consider better. You know, you want to zoom in and get, you know, the guy who's giving the hit or the guy who's getting the hit or the ball in the air. You know, you got to zoom in and get those shots. So for sports, the higher zooms. For, you know, for nature shots, if you want to get pictures of animals, you can't get right up on them with your 24mm lens and be like, hey, little squirrely, let me get a picture of you. You have to be far back, zoom in with your 200mm lens, and zoom in and get your pictures of the squirrel, or else he's going to be scared and he's going to run away. Birds, same thing, So zoom is great for those sort of things. It depends on what you're looking for, and, like I said, that's another way to categorize lenses is by their focal length. So that's like the main way to categorize lenses is by their focal length. There's yet another way to categorize your lenses. So to me, this is a very important aspect of lenses, and I know to a lot of very professional people, this is an important aspect to your lenses, is the maximum aperture. And when you read in a box of a lens, it'll say your Canon 70-200 lens, but then it says f2.8. Canon 70-200 f2.8. And what the f2.8 at the end means is that's how wide the aperture can get. That's the widest your aperture is going to get with that lens, and that's very important. Some lenses, their maximum aperture is variable. It's a variable maximum aperture, and that's always really good to know when purchasing a lens is what's the variable maximum aperture. And it'll say on the box, 3.5, 5.6. What that means is when you're zoomed out on your zoom lens, if it's a 18-55, if you're zoomed out to 18mm, it's going to be a 3.5 lens. If you get all the way zoomed in to 55mm, it's going to become 5.6 as the maximum aperture. And in between there's grades of apertures that it's going to be. To me, I like the lenses that stay the same. They're consistent, so it's not going to be variable. It's going to be a consistent aperture. So the 70-200 2.8 lens is going to be 2.8 aperture, is going to be the maximum aperture, no matter if I'm at 70mm or 200mm. And that comes in handy. You don't want to zoom in on something and it gets dark, and it will if your aperture is going to shrink down as you zoom in. So to me, that's very important. They're more expensive, but they're worth it as far as I'm concerned. The higher the speed of your lens, the wider the maximum aperture, the better as far as I'm concerned. This is a very inexpensive lens, but it's one of the most amazing lenses, I believe. I love it. This is a 50mm f1.8 lens, and it's about as fast as you can get. There are faster, but this is $100. $100 for this lens. It's amazing. I would suggest anyone get this lens. I love this lens. I use it all the time. It's just amazing. I love it, and I suggest it to everybody because of its price point and because of what it can do. This is what will introduce you to the power of wide apertures. This is a 1.8 lens. And not only does it get, the pictures, you can take faster pictures, you can take pictures in lower light, but it puts that really professional look of something being in focus, something being out of focus, and that's what the maximum aperture can do for you, is really take your pictures to a whole different level. That's another way to categorize the lenses is how fast they are. And the faster the better. It'll open doors for your photography. There's just so many ways that it perks up your photography. It makes you able to shoot in less light, for one. But if you have your flash on your camera, you can shoot faster because your flash doesn't have to put out so much light. There's just so many things. Your flash will recycle faster just because it doesn't need to put out so much light to fill your picture with light. And so it's ready again, and it's ready again. And there's just all these little intangible things that make these lenses so much better. And there's so many tangible things that make them so much better. So I always suggest getting a faster lens, but don't let it hold you down if you can't afford one. And just do with what you got. And you can always get more later, but with what you got now, you can always get some good shots, and or go out and get a lens that fits in your budget, and work up to getting a lens that's your dream lens. So I always have my lenses that I have now, and then I have my dream lenses that I want. So I mean, personally, what I carry with me all the time: 70-210, 50mm 1.8, and 24mm 2.8. What I would like is a 24mm 24-70 2.8 lens. Fantastic. And the 1635 2.8 lens, and I think I would be a happy camper. That's what I would carry in my bag all the time if I could. This is what I do carry in my bag as of now, and it works great. So I hope that helped you out, and have fun picking your lenses. There are many in between. There are many different kinds of zooms. Check out Canon's website, www.canon.com. I'll also put some links to Sammy's website to these lenses, and you can purchase your lenses right now today. And you can be shooting in a few days when they get mailed to you for free shipping. You dig? But anyhow, have fun, take great shots, and let me know how you're doing, and if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll start answering questions like this, and we'll get it all taken care of. So peace out, have fun, and take care, and be good to each other. All right, bye.